Welcome to the Daily Dish with Leanne Ely. This is a show about you, your life, and the vibrancy you want. Join us for daily motivation, wise women's tips, and more as we collectively gather together and move the needle in our lives, heart, mind, body, and soul. Now, here is your host, Leanne Ely, and the Daily Dish.
It's time! You know what time it is. It's Daily Dish time. And there's Jocelyn in the house already. She didn't hashtag HotMelt30, but I know that's what she's doing next. How you doing? Are you ready for Wise Women's Wednesday? That's because I've got wise women storming the gates. There's Joanne and Tracy in the house. Diane is here. I'm so glad to see you. Doris. Erica, we know who you are. I'm so glad you're here. Lovely, lovely, lovely to have you. Alice, yes, yes, yes. You ought to see Leanne while the intro's playing. I was putting on lip gloss and getting down with my bad self. You got to do it. Kathy, Vicky, so good to have you all here. Hashtag HotMilk30. If you don't know what it is, you can still jump on. SavingDinner.com/30 THIRTY. That's where you're going to find the webinar. That's where you're going to find the guide. And that's where you're going to hear about people who are massively successful in taking this hot milk sprint that we have and turning it into a whole program and a lifestyle. Yeah. Why do you think Tanya's lost 130 pounds? It's just that simple. Vanessa is in the house. So's our girl, Jama. Lovely to have you, Jennifer. I'm so glad you're here. Vicky is calling out the all lovelies. So good to have you. And Carol, Angie, lovelies in the house. Here's our quote. No, that's not it. I don't believe you have to be better than everyone else. I believe you have to be better, a better you than you ever thought you could be. Right? Am I right about that one? You know why this is so important? It's because who we are is always, always, always going to show up way, way more and way sooner than anything that we say. You know, we are our own walking advertisement. We are. So listen, you gotta, what is it? You gotta talk your walk and walk your talk kind of thing. Terry in the house. There's our girl, Tanya. Speaking of the lifestyle changing everything, hot milk sprint changing everything into a lifestyle. That's our girl, Tanya. She knows all about that. So I'm glad you're here, Tanya. And I'm also glad everybody else is here. And of course, the dream team is here. We've got Jenny and Amber and Lindsay all in the house. Isn't it a good quote? I'm so glad you like it, John. You know, I like the stuff that makes you think, let's think about that one, shall we? That's what we got. So cheers, by the way, to all of you who are breaking your fast with Hot Melt Mix. That's this. This is our lovely electrolytes. Keeps you in, guess what it keeps you in? Ketosis, my friends. And you know what happens when you're in ketosis? Sue's in the house. You know what happens with ketosis, right? That's when you're burning some fat. I'll tell you what, we're not so worried about our weight. We're worried about we want to get rid of fat. We want to keep the lean body weight, though. This is what makes us stronger, right? You know that. You love that just as much as I do. We are having a massive sale. Did you know about it? Well, first of all, what can I tell you? If you have not yet picked up either one of our quote decks, we have 2 quote decks. They come with this lovely little stand, super cute. So you can take one of these quotes that is rocking your world, right? Like this one, for example, a ship in harbor is safe, but that is not what ships are made for. A little reminder, it sits on your desk. It looks at you and says, hey, you were made for more. Yeah, it lets you know that. And then this is how we change our minds about things. This is how we think better thoughts. Yay! SavingDinner.com/sale. Not only that, but you'll find mindful mugs there. You're going to find even the very last of our Take Back Your Life journals. Why are they there, you wonder? Well, wait till you see what we've got coming up. Meanwhile, there's like maybe 10 left. Go get them while they're hot. savingdinner.com/sale. Everything's 50% off there. We don't ever do that, so go check it out. Also, Saturday is full bloom. I'm full of all kinds of songs today. Are you ready for full bloom? It's all about magic, finding your own personal magic and seeing that that is indeed the key to your vibrancy. That is the key to your purpose. I cannot wait. savingdinner.com/bloom to go get your ticket. And wait till you see those swag bags, y'all. They're just going to light you up like a Christmas tree because they are that cool. So I'm really looking forward to the whole thing. It's Saturday, April 23rd. It is from 9 to 5. It is a virtual event. There will be time out for everything. And it's just, you're just going to come and get your little cup filled up all the way to the brim. That's a promise. savingdinner.com/bloom. Go get it. Did you see what Joanne said about our journals? Yes. I can't wait. She's ready to bloom. You know what, Joanne, you're always ready, which I love about you. One of the things about Joanne, highly teachable, loving, kind, generous, and you know what? She makes a difference in everyone's lives, including mine. There's my girl, Chris. Hi, Chris. I'm so glad you're here. How's the desert, by the way? I loved your picture. It's so pretty that you had out there. Who has their text messages or getting our text messages? I'm going to tell you, if you're not, you're missing out. And what do you see what we've got coming up? You've got to get on the list, though. Text the word join, all in caps, to this phone number, 855-960-3720. And then when we send a message to you, you reply back, yes, all in caps. That way your subscription is confirmed and off we go to the races. We don't do this often. Just once a week, you know? We do it once a week. You know why we do it once a week? Because we want to touch base with you and we want to offer you something extra special because that's how we roll. Q&A is on Friday. I will be taking questions up until noon tomorrow. So go get them in. Send it in to support@savingdinner.com and put question for Leanne on Friday in that subject line. Okay? That's something else that you need to do. Also supplement of the week is Crave Crusher. Love this. Yes, you take 4, but it lasts all day long. You know, L-glutamine for the quickie, take care of it. I got to get that craving knocked out now, or I'm going to go over to that vending machine and eat some peanut M&Ms, that kind of a thing. You just got to have that on your person at all times. That's all there is to that one. This one, though, you take it in the morning when you break your, or in the afternoon, when you break your fast with your smoothie, you take 4 of these, and all day long, your cravings are just handled. And it's interesting because, especially if you're like me and you know, like 2 o'clock in the afternoon comes and it's just like, a little hungry for a little something, something. And you're not. It's not hungry. You're looking for mouth entertainment, but you get a little bit of a craving. Not anymore. That's what Crave Crusher does. And this is why I love this formula. This is special to us. Nobody else has this. savingdinner.com/show. Buy 3, you're going to get 1 free. It's a screaming deal. So there you go. That's what we have for you all this week. I told you about everything. So why don't we get down to it? We've been talking about pain. Oh, and by the way, on Instagram, no Instagram today because I had my phone plugged up to get charged and it didn't charge. Have you ever had a phone do that? I think it's time for me to bite the bullet and go get a new phone. What is it with those phones, man? They're expensive. And then, you know, all of a sudden an iPhone 10 is just, you know, is obsolete. Give me a break. Sorry. I love you, Apple. You've treated me well over the years. But this stuff, I just want to get a phone, you know? Nowadays, you don't even buy phones. You just lease them. It's crazy. All right, that's enough of that. Anyway, so no Instagram. However, I want you to know, Lisa, hey, this is something else for you. If you go to Instagram, you'll find us at Saving Dinner. We're there on Instagram. My new hydration video just came out, and it's dropping like it's hot. Go give it some love. You know, I appreciate that. Give it some love. Give it a comment. Give it a share. Give it a this. Give it a that. Give it whatever. And then do the same thing over on Tiki Talkie. We're having a real hard time with that one. But, you know, I'm mentioning it because I am hoping that my audience is going to help me out with that. Let's get it fixed. How about pain? Who wants to talk about pain? I heard, Jeanette, I heard the camera's ridiculously good on the new iPhone. So maybe I'll take a peek see at that. We've been talking about pain this week. Pain's it's a thing. It's a thing. And when we understand that we have the choice between two pains, either the pain of discipline or the pain of regret, that's when things start to switch in our head a little bit, because instead of trying to avoid it, we think about how to deal with it, right? There's a big, big difference, because avoidance has never done a whole lot for us, because eventually you get caught. It's like deciding you're not going to pay your taxes. And for a while there, it works, but it's just putting off the inevitable pain. And then you're going to get penalties and interest too. So we've got to just do the thing that we need to do. We have to take care of business. We're called to take care of business. And yesterday we ended the quote with I think a really apt Tony Robbins quote. And it was, change happens when the pain of staying the same is greater than the pain of change. Truth bomb, right? Hashtag truth bomb. This is absolutely true. We know that. And that's when the tipping point happens for a lot of us. That's when we make that decision, when we're sitting there and the doctor's giving us bad news and now you have a chronic illness that you need to deal with. Change needs to come quickly on the heels of that, or you're going to get more of the same. So that is something that's a truth right there, because the pain of staying the same is way greater than making the change. So, but we have to talk about this pain in order to change, because wise women educate themselves. Isn't that the truth? Heraclitus said this: change is the only constant. It's so true. And how many of us have gone around saying, oh, I just hate change. I don't like to do change. I'm changing me, blah, 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 blah. We say that all the time. I do, because I truly am not a fan of changing things. I like things the way they are. I like, somebody, seriously, this is how bad it is for me. If we have, people over or something and we're doing something and somebody puts something away, not the way I usually have it, I'll just move, I'll move that plant just like that 3 inches and just get it right back to the way it was, because that's the way I like it. I like things the way they were. But it is a truth bomb that change is the only constant, and we just need to embrace that concept. It's a fact. Nothing stays the same. If you've raised children, you know that. If you've taken care of an elderly parent, you know that. If you've just lived in your own body, you've known that. One day you look in the mirror and you're going, what happened here? Why am I just all wrinkled up here? And where did all these gray hairs come from? It happens. Change is a constant. So the thing that we have to look at, though, is change upsets your life balance, because what you did before and perhaps what others need to do now has been replaced with your new thing, So there, and sometimes there's, it involves other people. You make a change and your whole family has to pivot a little bit. So if you made it, and I hearken back when I was writing this, I was thinking about this morning, how Jenny's daughter had said to her, wait a minute, you mean you're going to be doing this forever? Her daughter was affected by the change and felt it, said something about it, and was just like, her ears perked up. And when she saw the little refrigerator come, she was like, okay, she's like, this woman's serious. This is what that's about. The change is painful, though. It's just like, that means that I have to shift my thinking, says her daughter. That means I have to shift the way that I do things. That means groceries are going to go in 2 different refrigerators. There's change. There's a new refrigerator in town. There's a new, there's a new plan in town. Suddenly we're batch cooking breakfast cookies and doing a bunch of things that have signaled that this change is here. So, we have feelings about all of this, don't we? On one hand, we're just saying we're ready to embrace this change, because the pain of not changing is greater. But on the other hand, sometimes maybe it's not greater. Maybe we're not exactly there anymore. Maybe that's what it is. So, even if it's for the best, we still do this, and even if it's for your betterment, we still kind of get concerned about certain things. And even if it's a huge positive, we're still going, but it's new. It's different. It's a change. And I'm so, I'm not sure about this. There's still the transition that we need to make, and transitions oftentimes can be messy and even a little bit painful. And can I just say it? Sometimes it's emotional. It's bloody emotional. So for this next part of this whole little talk about pain, I am going to use a past client, and don't worry, she's from about 10 years ago, maybe more. I've used her before in my examples. She is nameless, of course, but honest God, this happened, and it was a coaching client totally lost it in a session, and she came to me. She had rosacea, she had bad belly bloating, she was about 100 pounds overweight. She everything ached. She suffered from head, just name it. You know the cascade of symptoms all the way down. Check the box all the way down, all the way down, all the way down. And then we get to this whole thing about, what we're going to be doing. And I was showing her, this is before the sprint was the sprint, but basically it was, eating like the sprint. And it was also right around the time of just before part-time paleo. I signed the contract for part-time paleo, what have you. And I was showing her, this is basically a paleo way of eating, getting rid of a lot of the grains, getting rid of a lot of the, the stuff that's going to inflame you. And I made a suggestion, definitely get rid of all the grains because we need to get rid of gluten and dairy especially. She lost it on the dairy part. I mean, lost it. And this is what she said. But I don't want to give up my cheese. I almost with tears and just with this angst in her voice. And it was right then, that I saw she was irritable and angry and on edge, ready to fight me. She's going to duke me out, like but cheese is good for you. How am I supposed to get my calcium? That was another one that she said. I always love that one too. Because even though she had not yet given up the cheese, she was already jonesing, giving me an argument for a piece of cheese, right? Her health is in jeopardy, and she wants to take me to the mat on cheese. Okay, just to keep things in mind. She had the sensitivity and her sensitivity. She had her sensitivity test done, and her sensitivity test is telling her all kinds of things. I was just taking her on the mat for one thing, just the cheese is all I wanted to talk to her about, because I knew it was one of the things she snacked on. Cheese. Trying to get rid of snacks was another thing that she was struggling with, but everything was a problem. Okay. Everything was a problem. So all I said to her was, let's just get rid of the cheese for 30 days. Here's what you can do. You can cook it up. You can put it in, you can throw it in the freezer. You can toss it. You can give it to a food bank, whatever. No cheese for 30 days. So, the pain of change, just letting go of her beloved cheese for just 30 days, she was not interested, not at all. So she quit. I didn't fire her. I have fired clients before. She quit, and that was that. And she just said, I can't get on board with that. Cool. Well, I can't give you, if you are asking me for my opinion and paying me to help you with this, and you don't want to follow it, then that's fine. We'll go our separate ways. And we're friends on Facebook, and I still see her, and she's still struggling with the same stuff. It hasn't changed at all, by the way. But she still has her cheese. But the pain required to change was too much for her. She was more willing to live in her old pain than to suffer the new one. You see what I'm talking about here? This is where we go. So what should we do when we're facing the same kind of a situation? Not necessarily with cheese, unless you have a cheese issue, pinkies up if you have a cheese problem and I'm talking to you. I don't think anybody's going to admit that. It's a painful requirement to make that change. You've got to make the change. You got to give up the cheese. Giving up the cheese is giving up the cheese. And is that something that we really want to make? Is that something that we really want to make? Now, I've got 5 different things using cheese as the example, but you've got your own cheese, and we'll talk about that. The first thing that we want to do is that we have to start with today and acknowledge that for me, giving up the cheese, why am I getting so emotional about this? Questioning yourself. Like if this were me and I had just had this session with my nutritionist, whom I had just paid good money for, why am I getting so upset about this? Why am I getting so angry about this? Why am I feeling the feelings that I'm feeling about cheese, for God's sakes? It's cheese. It's not, they're not asking me to give up my pet or my child. She's asking me to give up cheese, but what is that about? So we need to acknowledge and even maybe sit with the feelings and say, I'm really angry about that because I really love cheese. But the problem is cheese doesn't love me back. We'll talk about that in just half a sec. But so what can you do about it? Well, you can just acknowledge, I'm not really happy about this, but you know what? I'm going to do it anyway because it's only for 30 days. I'm going to do it anyway and take an action step. I'm going to toss the cheese. I'm going to store the cheese. I'm going to freeze the cheese. I'm going to cook the cheese up into something, but I'm not going to have the cheese around because I'm going to follow these directions. I paid money to do this. Let's do it. This is just my suggestion, especially if you're paying somebody. Yeah, you get on top of this. And number 2 is, speaking of 30 days and giving it up for 30 days, we have to realize something about ourselves. My goodness, we are so much stronger than we give ourselves credit for. When we say, I could never, make sure that when you say, I could never, it's something dramatic, like I could never bungee jump off a 100-foot cliff. Cool. You and me too. We're on this together. I could never do that either. That's insanity. But could I give up cheese for 30 days? Totally. Could I give up, if I had to give up any food group or anything for 30 days, can I do it? Sure. Am I going to be a wuss about it and cry and whine about it? Not anymore, but at the beginning I would. Sure. When I gave up, coffee, when I had to give up cream in my coffee, I was not a happy camper. And I fought and I struggled and I whined and everything. And then I just was like, you know what? If I'm going to do this, let's do it. Let's go into the place of letting go of this and just let's give it 7 days and see how we do. We have the ability to have conversation with ourselves. Did you know that? Do it all the time. So we can do this. We can give it up. My mother, I've just shared this story with you before, but my mother, they wanted to give her double hip replacement surgery just simply because she had osteoporosis so bad. She'd turn in her bed and she would wake up in the middle of the night crying because it hurt. That's how bad she was. And so finally I just said, Mom, we just have to take care of business. And I basically put her on the sprint. And I gave her all of my smoothie supplies, everything. This is before we had collagen. It was a pea protein, at the time, but, gave her that, took away all the gluten, took away all the dairy. And boy, let me just tell you, she wasn't my client, but she whined. Oh my gosh, she whined. And I said, Mom, 30 days. Just give it a rest just for 30 days. Do you know after 30 days, she was a zealot. She was an evangelist. She was proselytizing anyone who would listen, and even told her doctor what for. When she went to the doctor, said, I'm not in pain anymore. And he said, well, I still think we should do a double hip replacement. And she was like, of course you do. And she told him where to go. That was my mom. You'd have to know her. So anyway, the point is that giving up of something is it might be painful for the moment, but in the long run, it's going to change things. I gave up cream in my coffee. I don't even think about it anymore. And it changed everything for me. No more rosacea. Feel good. Feel great. See, it can be done. So number 3 is, let's check out the attachment that she had to all of this here too. I want you to hear me on this. This is huge. That when you start using possessive pronouns with a food, like you would say, my child, my dog, my house, my spouse, and my cheese, you got a problem. Cheese is not something that it's cheese is food. It's just something, it's just a refrigerated item. That's what cheese is. It's just one more thing. It's salt, it's pepper, it's a condiment, it's mustard, It's something that belongs in the fridge that's used in certain items. But putting a personal pronoun on it and freaking out about it, maybe there's just too much of a one-sided relationship going here. You know, thing is, you might love cheese, but does cheese love you back is the question. And I say no, it's treating you like a bad boyfriend. It's giving you rashes. It's making you feel sick to your stomach. You've got joint aches. You've got headaches. You've got all this other kind of stuff going on. And you're weight loss resistant. You can't lose the weight. Losing the cheese might be it. Maybe it's time to break up with that food, just like a bad boyfriend. We got to look at things from a different perspective. And a breakup is painful, you know, even when it's a change, and that change is painful. We acknowledge that. But on the other hand, having this go on with the cheese, it just needs to be looked at. That's all. Number 4 is replace it. You know, hey, I know, go to savingdinner.com and check out the meal plans. I will tell you, you will find hundreds of them, thousands of recipes that don't have one stitch of cheese in it. Do you know you can cook without cheese? You know you can make food without cheese? And then don't go in there and say, okay, well, I'm going to make some of my favorite things and then try to make a lasagna without cheese. That's ridiculous because you'll be, you know, grossly disappointed. Start making other things. Start making our hot melt salmon, for example, the salmon with the avocado salsa on it and the crema and the whole bit. I mean, come on, is that just not the most delicious thing you've ever had? There are other things in this world. We've got to start looking and getting our boundaries out there. And number 5 is a mindset hack. How about that one? You know, we've got to wrap our brains around it. We don't just have to put up the barriers and say no right away and say, I can't do it. Got to have my cheese. We got to start flipping our thinking. We have to start focusing on what we can have and not what we can't, right? That's the big deal. We don't want to be walking around saying, well, I can't have cheese, wah, 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 poor me, but only 28 days left. That's not going to get you to the 30-day mark. It's not. And it's not fair. Everybody else can have cheese, but I can't. I mean, that kind of thinking is not going to work for you. It's the wrong focus. Instead, start thinking about what you can have and start saying things like, yeah, 2 days later, I feel better. Oh, my skin's already starting to clean up. And, you know, maybe this is okay for 30 days, whatever. Because I want you to recognize something that, we're so privileged. We don't have to sit there. We're not in war-torn Ukraine and the Red Cross truck is pulling out and giving you the only thing they have left, cheese. It's not like that. You can go to the grocery store and choose anything pretty much that you want. We live in a place of absolute privilege. Privilege. None of us have had to worry about any of this stuff. You know, we're not in this kind of a war-torn country. We get to make these changes. We get to try different things and find out about our sensitivities and do something about it. We're not stuck. That's the kind of mindset change that I'm talking about, because that mindset needs to go along with the change, because the mindset piece will alleviate that pain. The mindset piece will help us to understand why it is that we're doing the things that we're doing and not be so doggone hard on ourselves. So, we use cheese as our example today because I think cheese is just, first of all, who doesn't love cheese? We all do, right? I don't know of anybody who doesn't love cheese. But, cheese is just one example. But maybe you have something else in your life that's holding you back from absolutely everything you want, and it's your cheese. What is it? What's holding you back? Unless you sort through this pain and just recognize, hey, I'm getting really worked up about this. What's that about? Sit with it, feel the emotions, and figure it out a little bit. And then start going through these steps a little bit so that you can see the genesis of what this is all about, and then get to the place of resolution and a mindset that says, I can do anything for 30 days. Because the fact is, you can do anything for 30 days. And I'll tell you, sometimes when you do something for 30 days, you find yourself in a place of this becoming a mindset and a way of life. Am I right, Tanya? Right? You get to choose a better way at any time. And wise women know this. All right, there you go. That's all I have for you today. And tomorrow we're going to wrap up the whole series on this topic of pain. Topic of pain. Then on Friday we have Q&A, and then on Saturday, full blue. Listen, it's time. It's time to go get your seat and get your swag bag and get everything else. Go to savingdinner.com/bloom and check it out. Tomorrow we will be on Instagram. I promise you, my phone will charge. If it doesn't charge, I'm going to go throw it down the toilet. I'm kidding, of course. We will get the phone charged, and tomorrow we'll be on Instagram Live tomorrow as well. All right? Peace be with you. Thanks so much for joining me today, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Thanks for watching. Check back for new episodes. If you missed the live show, you can always watch the replay. You can find Saving Dinner on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Until next time, pinkies up.